Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. And today we're talking about the brand new US Bank Shield Visa card. This card was officially announced on February the 2nd, 2026. Now, whenever a new business credit card comes out, especially from a major institution like US Bank, it's going to get a lot of attention fast. But oddly enough, I haven't heard anyone else talk about this credit card. So I decided that I would go ahead and apply for it. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to apply for this card is because it has an introductory 0% APR on purchases and balance transfers for up to 12 billing cycles. For business owners, that can be a huge advantage, whether you need to cover your startup cost, maybe it's going to go to some investment, marketing, to buy equipment, or maybe just to manage some existing debt more strategically. Having access to 0% financing can give you some breathing room, especially when it comes to credit card stacking. Now, I was personally approved for this card with an $8,000 credit limit using my second business, and that business has only been established for around 4 months. So this is not a long established company with years of history behind it. It was relatively new, which makes this approval especially worth breaking down. So in this video, I want to walk you through exactly how I was approved, the data points behind the approval, and some of the best practices that I think that you should keep in mind if you want to improve your own odds of getting this card. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Before we get into the details of the credit card, I want to do a quick overview of US Bank. Now, US Bank is a national bank and the 5th largest bank in the United States, and the bank headquarters are located in Minneapolis, Minnesota, while branches in the following states are available: Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Washington, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Now, these are the states that have a US Bank physical branch available, but you can generally apply for any of their credit cards, even if you don't live in any of the aforementioned states. A majority of the applications with US Bank, especially when it comes to their credit cards, are primarily handled online. Now, the main requirement is having a US address, a valid social or individual taxpayer identification number, and a US credit history. So as long as you meet those basic requirements, you should have no problem opening up an account and at the very least being able to apply for this business credit card. Now, for me personally, this is not my first approval with US Bank. I already have several business credit cards with them, along with a business loan and a business line of credit. You guys probably have seen this in my previous videos. If you haven't, I'll link that video here about the $50,000 cash flow manager that you can get. I was approved for $25,000, as well as a $50,000 business loan that you can get, and I was approved for that as well. Now, what makes this approval slightly different is that this was the first credit card I was approved for with my brand new business. And currently, I still have my US Bank business loan outstanding. I also still use my business line of credit. I have a balance on my current US Bank credit card with my other business, my initial one. So it's like, still having all these accounts outstanding, I was still able to open a new US Bank account and still got approved for another credit card. Now, let's talk about why US Bank has a reputation for being one of the tougher banks when it comes to approvals. The biggest reason is that US Bank tends to be more conservative. They usually don't like to see a lot of new accounts. They don't like to see recent hard inquiries or behaviors that make it look like you're aggressively seeking credit. Now, that's exactly why this is one of the first business credit cards I chose to pursue with this new business. In general, if you have opened more than 3 new personal accounts or more than 3 new business credit card accounts within the past 12 months, your chances of getting approved can start to drop. There's also something that doesn't get talked about enough. US Bank may actually check your Experian business credit report, so they can potentially see how many business credit cards you already have opened if those accounts actually report there. US Bank also tends to favor applicants who already have a relationship with them. So if you don't have one yet, I recommend that you have a business checking account, a business savings account, or any other product, even on the personal side, a mortgage, an auto loan, that relationship can absolutely help strengthen your approval odds. At the same time, there's always exceptions. I have seen people get approved with no prior relationship at all. They can still walk away with a solid limit like $10,000 or more. Usually those applicants have strong credit profiles, high FICO scores in the 800s, and a long established credit history. Now, I do have an entire video of how you should structure your credit profile. If you want to watch that video, I'm going to link it right here. Recently, I just did a re-release for that because it's very applicable at this time. So if you want to structure your credit profile in order to get those high limits, even without having a relationship with US Bank, I think that video would provide a lot of insight for you. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that US Bank doesn't rely on your credit score alone. Now, they seem to use a combination of internal scoring and external data, which means a strong FICO score by itself will not guarantee approvals. And what I mean by that is you could have a 780 score and still get denied if you don't have recent credit activity that they actually want to see, or you have a thin credit profile. So if we know that US Bank is a relationship-focused bank, the first thing I recommend, once again, open that business checking and savings account with them before applying for the credit card. Make a few deposits and have some activity for a few months before you apply. For example, in my situation, I opened this account with US Bank on November 17th, 2025, and I made small deposits of around $200 into the checking and savings account. That was roughly 90 days before I applied for this card. Now, if you have opened a brand new credit card account, or you do have hard inquiries within the last 6 months, it may be smart to wait until those are at least 6 months old before applying. Of course, none of this is a guarantee, and like I said, there are always exceptions to every rule, but based on what I've seen, this approach has been one of the most consistent ways to put yourself in the strongest position to get approved. All right, now let's take a look at an overview of this card. When you look at the US Bank Business Shield Visa, the biggest selling point is pretty obvious right away. This card is built for business owners who care more about financing and cash flow. The headline feature is a 0% APR on purchases and balance transfers for 12 billing cycles. It also comes with no annual fee. And US Bank says employee cards are free as well. This card also includes access to US Bank Spend Management, which is designed to help business owners track spending, capture receipts, and set card controls and sync with other accounting software. Even though this may not be marketed as a pure rewards card, it still does have a few benefits worth mentioning. You can earn 5% cash back on prepaid air, hotel, and car rentals booked directly through their travel center. US Bank also offers a $50 annual statement credit after you make $5,000 in purchases through the same travel center during each 12-month account period. On top of that, the card includes purchase protection and zero fraud liability with chip technology and 24/7 fraud monitoring, which does add an additional layer of value for business owners using this card for regular operating expenses. US Bank also ties in their Extend Pay feature, which gives you the option to break eligible purchases into monthly payments. After the intro purchase APR period ends, cardholders may have an opportunity each calendar year to set up a 3-month zero-fee Extend Pay offer. Overall, though, the Business Shield card looks like a strong option for someone who wants a low-cost business card focused on flexibility. If your main goal is to finance purchases, transfer a balance, manage employee spending, and avoid paying an annual fee, then this card would make a lot of sense. But if you're applying mainly for a huge reward on everyday business categories, then this probably is not the best card for you. I think that this card is designed for really control and cash flow, as well as 0% APR and simplicity. Now, let's cover the data points, starting with the credit pool. For US Bank business credit cards, they are well known for pulling your TransUnion FICO score. While the minimum required score varies, most US Bank credit cards require good to excellent credit. The lowest score I've seen approved for some of their business credit cards is around the 680 range. And if you've gotten approved with a lower credit score, please drop that in the comments below. I would like to see that. However, it's usually like, I would say average 620 and above. That's what will get you approved for this card. If you're having any problems with your credit score currently at this time, please check out my credit repair playlist. There are plenty videos that can actually help you repair your credit, grow your credit score, so that way you're not just going to be bound to a few options and you can also get approved for this card. Now, this would also mean no derogatory marks, no charge-offs, no late payments, no collections, nothing like that. And when it comes to hard inquiries, I recommend not having any recent inquiries again, at least in the last 6 months. Now, remember, if you've applied for a bunch of credit cards in that time frame, that can be a red flag, because US Bank generally doesn't like to see more than 2 inquiries in the last 6 months or more than 3 to 4 new accounts in the last year. But we also need to discuss your income and existing obligations. Now, US Bank considers your stated income and they'll use it to calculate your debt to income ratio. Now, if your income is solid and your monthly obligations are low, that really does work in your favor, and that does help set your credit limit. Your utilization should be less than 10%, meaning you're not using more than 10% of your credit card balances when each credit card reports to TransUnion. But if you have high balances across your other cards or your loans, you may seem overextended, which will then get you denied. So once again, you definitely want to get that utilization paid down. This will also help increase your credit score. Now, US Bank is cautious about granting large credit limits to applicants who don't already have some experience managing comparable limits elsewhere. So if your highest current credit card limit is $1,000, I wouldn't expect US Bank to give you $10,000 right out the gate. Once again, there's always exceptions to every rule, but exceptions are not the rule. So I would err on the side of caution. Finally, many of the decisions for US Bank will be automated, and if you receive a 7 to 10 day notice, that is completely normal. For me, this credit card was not instantly approved. It took around 4 business days from the time that I applied. If we include the weekend, then it was about 6 days total. Again, 4 business days. Now, if it takes longer than 7 business days, I would consider calling their underwriting department and have a representative look at your application. Even if you are denied, you can ask for reconsideration. This happens all the time with US Bank. This is not uncommon. I have seen a lot of denials get reversed by doing this, and the number that you would call would be 1-800-947-1444. Currently, I'm on the US Bank website. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to just come right to this page and apply for this card. Now, I'm going to click on Apply Now here, and then I want to take you guys through the actual application process just so you have an idea of how I personally filled out this application. So of course, you'll enter your first name, your last name. You'll also enter your mobile number as well as your email address. Now, for me personally, I entered my business email. So if your business is structured and you have a business email, then I suggest using that. Then it's going to ask for your business structure type. Now, here's the cool part about this. You can have an LLC, you can have a corporation, you can be nonprofit, you can even be a sole proprietor. So, hey, if you don't have an established business that has been incorporated, you can basically still get this business credit card just by using your social. But for me, I normally have corporations, so you would want to enter your EIN number as well as your legal business name, your DBA if you have a doing business as name, and then your business name as you would like it to appear on the card, as well as the country that it was formed in, that should be the US, as well as the year that your business was established. Again, mine was 2025 in October, so it's like slightly over like 4 months old. Then you'll need your business phone number. The last thing you'll want to enter is your actual revenue. And here I did a projection of my business revenue. Now, whatever your projection is, you'll have to decide for yourself. For me, I entered right around like 250,000. I'm not saying that you should. Even with my projections, I do have a way to prove this. So I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that's what I put. Then you'll want to enter your physical address. That's going to be your actual personal address or your business address. It just depends on how your business is actually set up. Now, for me, I have a virtual address that I used for the physical business address, but then I use my personal address as the mailing address. And again, you can do this however you would like. Now, when it comes to the actual NAICS code or the NAICS code, that's going to depend on your business. You should put the one that is related to your business. I have an entire video on NAICS codes. I'll link that right here if you want to watch that, just to get a better understanding about how that actually works. But really just put whatever is associated with your business. Then you'll put your identification information, your date of birth, your social, as well as your address. And if your home address is the same as the physical business address, then just check this box right here. Oh, and one more thing, on that previous screen, you will see the option to enter your personal income. Once again, enter the personal income that you can actually show on tax returns if you needed to. You should not have documentation requested, but if you put more than what you actually make, it is a possibility that they can request it. So I would just be honest about exactly what your business is currently making. Also, putting more money doesn't actually give you a higher credit limit. It's determined by debt to income ratios. So it's based off of how much debt you have and your obligations, as well as your business income projection and your personal income. So there is a few different factors there. So you could put $1 million. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a higher credit limit. That's the point. Now, for your business ownership, you could just put owner and or CEO, whatever your title is. I normally just use owner, and that's good enough. Are you the sole owner? If you are, then just put yes, and then you'll go to save and continue. Now, if you want to set up employee cards, you can do so here. I'm going to skip that for now. There's no need to add any employee cards. And then your billing options, I always just suggest one bill sent to my business address, or because I don't need individual bills, so one bill is actually fine. And then you can click on save and continue. Now, if you are trying to do a balance transfer, like let's say you're trying to move debt from an existing business credit card over to this one, this is the point where you should put in how much you would like to transfer. So if you want to do that, then just click yes, enter the amount. And yes, I would put the total amount that you would like to transfer. If you don't want to transfer any balances, it's okay. You can bypass this and you can just skip it. Now, the rest of this screen will most likely be blanked out where you won't see it, but it's just asking, does everything look right? They just want to make sure that all the information is accurate. So review it one last time, and then you'll be able to submit this application. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about this business credit card, please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're approved, drop your credit score and your limit below. That helps everyone in the community gauge what they may be approved for as well. And we would love to hear any additional data points that you feel comfortable sharing. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it, and you have a wonderful day.